Hey everyone, welcome to DevRunner. My name is Paul. I'm an endurance runner and an RRCA certified running coach, and this is Subscriber Spotlight, where I have conversations with inspiring runners to help motivate you on your running journey. My guest today is a world-class road and trail runner who hosts one of YouTube's most popular running channels, the one and the only Seth James DeMoor. Seth, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, no, thank you for taking the time to do this and do the interview. So I appreciate you reaching out and making this work. So thank you.
Well, my pleasure. I mean, it's a true honor to have some time to spend with you. So,
No,
just
it'll be fun.
yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Let me just get started by asking you how you got started running.
Well, that's a great question. Actually, it was a question of the day about 4 or 5 days ago on the vlog. So I started running when soccer was no longer in my sphere of sports. You know, I was a small guy in middle school and high school, and especially in middle school. And I realized that basically sixth grade, like, if I just eliminate the ball and just go run, how would I do? And so my dad was a big runner. My mom was a big runner. They ran marathons and trail races growing up in Buena Vista, Colorado. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to try just running. Like, I really was a pretty small guy in middle school. So I eliminated. So in seventh grade, I joined the cross country team. This would have been 1998. So I've been running for, I don't know, 22, 23 years. It's been a long time, long journey with running, but that's how I got started, was just, and I love soccer, and I encourage, all kids to find the sport that they love. For some, it's hockey, for some, it's basketball, and for some, it doesn't involve a ball.
Absolutely.
And I was pretty, good hand-eye coordination, but realized, you know what, I can have just as much fun without a ball and just go run as fast as possible. So that's what I did in 1998, and the rest is history, as they say.
Exactly. Very cool. So let me ask you this. As you just said, you have a very long running career behind you
Yeah.
already. But if you had to pick the highlights, what comes to mind first? And let me point out, I'm perfectly happy to hear about PRs and that kind of, the numbers game. But I'm also very interested in more of like the things that had the biggest emotional impact on you.
Hmm. That's a good question. I mean, an emotional impact can be taken either way, whether perhaps the better or even challenges. Like, one that jumps out at me is we had big dreams in senior year high school cross country. We wanted to be team state champions in the cross country for 3A in Colorado, which is very competitive, and we came up a little short, and we came in second place. And that was hard. Like, we really were, but what's great is that we trained together as a unit for
Mhm.
4 or 5 months, really dedicated through. So for all the high schoolers listening, like, we trained from, late May, as soon as track was done, and all through the summer together. We just had this vision and this goal to win the state. And we had a really talented team my senior year. This would have been 2004.
Okay.
So why, actually, no, it would have been 2003. And so it's a while ago at this point, but we came up a little short. I don't know how many points we were down, but we took second place, which is a great at the state meet. So that's one that jumps out at me. Definitely the next one has to be walking on to the CU cross country team. Reading Running with the Buffaloes and just learning about the NCAA. Like, I really was a little, like, I love basketball, football. I'm more of a sports guy, like, as far as, watching sports. And I honestly didn't follow like track or cross country at the NCAA level. And so as soon as I discovered that cross country and track existed at the NCAA level, I said, oh, maybe I could try and walk on. Because at that point, I had already been accepted to train at the to go to school at the University of Colorado. And I managed to train by myself that's a long story, but I didn't make it my freshman year, and trained by myself my freshman year into sophomore year, and walked onto to the CU cross country team. So that was definitely a highlight as well. I could go on and on as far as highlights, but those are a couple that jump out at me.
Gotcha. Okay, so you actually led me perfectly into my next question.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious about what were your motivations? Who were your inspirations when it came to you taking your running career more seriously, like especially like post-collegiately, when it was just kind of like you versus the world? Where did you draw that inspiration and motivation?
I mean, on the motivation side, I'd be lying if I didn't say it came from inside of me rather than me. But no, listen, I love like the story. I think everybody is, not everybody, many people have seen the story of Haile Gebrselassie in Ethiopia. His the movie they made about him, which now the title is escaping me. What is it's called? Endurance? Yeah, I believe it's called. The movie made by I think Disney may have made it, but it's a great movie about Haile's life and growing up, very very impoverished and very challenging out in the farms in Ethiopia. And his story definitely inspired me to train hard. But my own motivation to pursue CU and take my running more seriously and try and run faster and race faster. I'm a pretty competitive person, which is probably why I like sports so much. And so that inner drive, I guess, maybe proving to myself. And also, I mean, shout out to all the smaller kids out there that might watch this someday. Like, listen, you might be 5 feet 2 inches, but you can still dream big and chase down dreams as well. And I was a little taller than 5'2", but not by much. And so it's like that inner, it's like we're not basketball players, we're not maybe rugby players or football players, but we can chase down our own sports dreams as well. And that's what I was doing, transitioning from high school into college, when I said, you know what, I was a 16:27 guy for the 5K in high school, which
Okay.
it's a good time, but it's definitely not Division I level, especially these days. And so I just thought to myself, you know what, if I dedicate to the training and I take a little bit of a calculated risk in my training, I can walk onto the CU team, and that's what happened.
That's awesome. Yeah, as a smaller guy myself, I my story is very strange because I didn't really start taking running seriously until I was in my 40s. I'm 50, almost 53 years old now. So
Yeah.
I'm just discovering my abilities now, but I'm a little guy too. So
Yeah.
it was one of those things where, wow, at least I finally discovered what I was good at sports-wise. So I appreciate your story.
Yeah, no, it's we smaller folks, we got to stick together, right?
I'm with you. I'm with you. So I'm going to switch gears with you a little bit here. I'm trying to keep the questions moving along because I know you are pressed for time. Let's see. Just straight up, let me ask you, what got you started with YouTube? And once you were started, what made you decide to pivot towards more running content?
Back to middle school. It's interesting, all this circles around middle school, but my buddy Blake, shout out to Blake, this would have been the late 90s, and I would say YouTube did not exist yet. So YouTube launched about 03, 04, and my buddy and I, we bought a video camera, like an old video camera, and we made snowboarding videos, we made skateboarding videos, we just made videos, and we had no editing software. All we did, so you had to film and you had to make sure you got the shot correct, because we didn't have computers, we didn't have editing, it was a lot different about 22 years ago. So I've always had an eye for filming, and a shout out to my dad, who was also a runner, who was a photographer. And so he taught me the art of lighting and framing a shot and how to approach the cinematic side of videography through a still camera. And that is what really taught me, what I'm always saying on the YouTube channel, Seeking Beauty. He really taught me that through his cameras. And we're talking like 35 millimeter old school cameras.
Yeah.
So that was, late 90s, early 2000s. And then I dabbled in cinema. I didn't study film in college. I studied history, which is another, it's another facet to the whole picture of storytelling is so important when you're doing YouTube. And so that's what I try and bring into the YouTube channel through running. And it just made sense over time after doing YouTube for so long. And I know, every day, as far as switching, it just made sense. Like, YouTube is, they're a business and they're an algorithm. And so they want to put videos in front of the correct people at the correct time.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, wow, I love running. I love filming. Why don't I bring them together? And so after doing YouTube for about 3 years, I said, okay, we're going to focus more so on running content on the platform. And that would have been like 2000. The time escapes. I think it was about 2018, transitioning into 2019. So it's a little while ago now, but sure enough, like we keep moving forward. But anyway, that's a long answer. There's a lot of ways I could answer that, but yeah, that's how it started.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's great to get sort of like the pre-YouTube background. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to point out here, one thing that occurred to me is, obviously for you to have reached the heights and the success in running that you have, you've been a very motivated, a very inspirational and inspired person as a runner. But your discipline doesn't just shine through as a runner. Your dedication to daily content on YouTube, I think, is another bit. It's further proof of your discipline. So I'm really wondering, especially as a fellow YouTuber, how do you structure your day so that you have time for content, for running, for family, and just life in general?
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I will preface by saying it is like what I do full time now. So that helps. It helps to have, let's call it 8 hours, let's call it 12 hours, whatever. Back in the day, it was 16 to 18 hours a day where I was doing YouTube. Now I've managed to cut it down because you come up with systems over time and you realize ways to be more efficient in the video production process. And oh my goodness, the whole daily upload thing, like, first of all, I wouldn't really recommend it to anybody because it's very hard. It's yeah. How to even begin? It's such a big topic. So as far as structuring my day, all right, I usually am asleep at 9 p.m.
Wow.
And then I usually wake up at 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m. So it allows me to wake up, not rush too crazy. Like, if you watch consistently, like summer is approaching. And so I wake up usually a little bit earlier in the summer to go run in the mountains. So I usually don't see the family in the morning because I'm out the door either running or going to chase the sunrise or going up to the mountains. So depending, now on the weekends it's different, but during the week, like, I'm usually up and gone. I'll just say, like, I try to have the filming part done by 11:30,
Okay.
maybe, and then but then if I'm in the mountains, I have to drive back, which is, 45 minutes to an hour. So if I'm editing by like 1 p.m., that's great. I'll edit from like 1 to 4, and then I'll upload. Like, basically, over time, I've had to make a commitment to the family where at the beginning, I was just like desperate to make YouTube work, and you have to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But then at about, maybe about a year ago, maybe 15 months ago, like, I really wanted to be done with the uploading by 5 p.m. so I could be up to the family and just be present, in the evening. So,
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Now, part of the trick is like the filming, but then when are you training as well? And if you're doing doubles, like running in the morning and running in the afternoon, like, so you have to be really, really, you got to think ahead, and you got to be efficient in the whole process. But that's a little bit of how I lay out the days. Yeah. And sometimes I have to, sadly, like, once the kids are asleep, I have to finish editing and then do the uploading. So it's every day is a little bit different.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, and I know what you mean. Like, I've done several marathon training cycles where I got myself up, over 100 miles a week myself,
Wow,
and
nice.
it's tough once those doubles start, coming
Yeah,
fast and furious. So I can appreciate what you're saying.
yeah,
Um, so
you
let me
get it.
ask you this, Seth, before uh, we can switch gears back to running, or you can continue to answer this question in terms of YouTube if you'd like.
Mhm.
But I'm just curious about your future running goals and your future YouTube goals.
Mm-hmm. No, that's I love big dreaming goal or big dreaming discussions. I mean, running goals. Oh goodness. First of all, stay healthy. We're always trying to stay healthy. I'm working through this hamstring right now. And like I'd love to win Pikes Peak again. I'll just, shoot from, just tell you straight up. I'd love to win Pikes Peak again this year. I'd love, big goal is to still chase down that OTQ for the marathon. So the Olympic trials qualifying, which now is sub 218, which I'm not saying, it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to give up on it. I don't even know how much time I have, if it's 18 months or a little bit longer. But anyway, still going to try and chase down that OTQ. Man, I think at some point in the not so distant future, probably it's tough. But so I'm more of a trail mountain runner who's trying to run fast on the roads, but I probably switch to like the 50K and 50-mile distance in the, pretty soon.
Okay.
So I'd love to hop over to, Zagama, sorry, not Zagama, but to Chamonix and race the OCC and CCC over there in Chamonix, France.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. As far as running goals, I could go on and on, but staying healthy and consistent,
Yeah.
training. I haven't been like an official injury in a couple years where I've had to really stop running. So I feel, that's for all the runners out there, like that's always a great goal, is to stay healthy. Cause then
And not an easy thing to do either.
yeah, sometimes it can be difficult. And YouTube goals. Oh man. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. DGR is pretty special at the end of the day. So that stands for DeMoor Global Running. That's the acronym that we use to describe ourselves in DGR. And I'm continually, I think it's that's part of the reason I upload every day. Like, even if the quality of the videos drops a little bit because I upload every day and it's hard to do, I'm okay with that. I would rather be consistent and build that community around, like, where people are really helping each other stay motivated, learn the sport of running, learn about running shoes and running gear together. That's way more important to me. And that's why I asked the question of the day, to get the discussion going. That's way more important to me than growth of the channel or quality of the videos, making them really, really epic, which I try to make them solid, but some days are simpler than other days. And that translates.
You do a wonderful job, though. Let me just cut in there.
Oh, well.
The quality, what you may call a dip in quality, is like what everybody else is shooting for. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You're
man,
setting the standard, sir.
Well, here's a good example. Even like today, I made and you'll appreciate this as a creator yourself, is like I made the intentional decision on, I guess it would have been about 36 hours ago. I said, okay, I'm going to sleep in, meaning wake up at 6 a.m. rather than like 4:30 a.m. I'm going to sleep in, and then I'm not going to rush in the morning. So, and therefore, because I made that decision, today's vlog, the FKT, was I didn't put any music to it. It was raw, and it was just me running through the trails.
I appreciated hearing you breathe so heavy when you were going up that
mountain. And that was an intentional decision from a creative standpoint, because when you start getting music involved in the editing process, that makes the editing process quite a bit longer. So that's a little bit of insight and background that you just learn over time, as far as from a creative background, standpoint. Yeah.
I'm with you. So, all right, Seth. Keeping in mind the time once again, I'm going to ask you a philosophical question here.
Okay.
How has running changed your life for the better?
Oh, yeah. I mean, oh man, the immediate, I would say, like, um real world answer is, it's, obviously discipline and sacrifice, on almost, kind of like on a physical level, where you're aching, you have to fight through the ache, the niggles, like you got to just stay disciplined and stay on top of the recovery and sleeping enough and eating well and all those things. I would say, though, more so on an emotional level, it's I mean, I'm not afraid to say that, like, running is, it's, I know it sounds great, it's kind of like a friend, you know
Wow.
and I almost get emotional saying it, like, where, like, it's like you get to go run with a friend, like, even because as runners, it's kind of, it's not it can be lonely, like you're out there, sometimes you're running in a group, sometimes you have a running buddy. A lot of times for me, I don't, because I'm busy and, like, I'm running at crazy hours and I train like big miles. So I would say, like, it's like running is kind of a buddy out there, in life, where you just get a, it's weird to say it like that, but I've
It's a
often
very
thought,
fresh take on, yeah, the idea of being alone with yourself and becoming comfortable within your own skin. It's wonderful.
yeah. So that probably is like that'd be my real answer, is like running is, over time, it's painful at times, and that's what it is. Sometimes friendships are painful. But so yeah, running is it's kind of like a friend.
That's amazing. What a great answer. What a great answer, and what a cool new perspective. That's great.
Yeah,
Um, I got to ask you this one, sir.
sure.
Before we part ways here for the evening, um, I want you to share not the favorite, but a favorite piece of running advice with everybody
Mhm.
watching.
Yeah. Oh, that is hard to choose one. It's hard to choose one. I mean, if you're really, for the new runners, for people that are, and the veteran runners, but I think if you lose the consistency, it's hard to keep moving forward. That might be a simple answer, easy answer, but the aerobic engine that I'm always talking about. I mean, you're a coach, you understand, like, building that aerobic development. But of course, like, I'm thinking more so of, like, the new runners out there that are just, or people that, want to live healthier lives. Maybe they have no aspirations of ever racing. They just want to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I often say, like, even if you can only run 3 days a week, but you can walk 2 days a week, and on top of it, like, just be consistent of getting out the door every single day. That would be my number one piece of advice. Hopefully that's kind of the answer you were looking for, but
I think
as
it's
far,
wonderful. I
yeah, as
think
the consistency, and then on a technical level, of course, not building up your mileage too quickly and just being patient with, because your body, it is amazing. I mean, as a coach, so I don't know when your last injury was, but, like, the older I get, the more I appreciate being consistent in the training. But, like, your body does adapt and become stronger. You become more resilient
absolutely.
if you can stack, like, months and months and eventually years and years on top of each other, where, like right now with my hamstring, I'm working through it. And, like, 6 years ago or 5 years ago, like, I may have stopped running, and taken a month off, but, like, I'm just working through it and going into the gym and, like, doing all the rehab to make sure I come back stronger. So yeah.
Gotcha. Wonderful advice. That's kind of like the baseline, most important advice that I hand out to all my clients.
Yeah.
So to hear you say that, I'm going to reuse this little clip a million times to make sure that
Awesome.
point gets into their heads.
It's so key. And everything consistent with running and turning the doorknob, consistent with your sleep, consistent with, like, foam rolling, whatever, all these little things. And it gives, like, purpose to the day. I think a lot of people often don't have purpose, where they're doing the 9 to 5 for their job, and they, like, they wake up, they go to work, they come home, and it's just, I think it's more fun to have that daily purpose of challenging yourself. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Wonderful. Great stuff, Seth. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for sharing
Oh,
so freely of yourself. I want to thank you for all the years of running companionship that you have provided to me and everybody out there. And I'm
thank
looking
you.
forward to many more. So keep going.
Yes, I'm not going to stop, and I appreciate your patience. Sometimes the videos are better than other days, but as I always say, if you keep, I'll keep uploading, you keep watching. So
You
thank
got it,
you.
sir. You got it. Seth, for anybody who is seeing you for the first time here on my channel, um, don't worry. I will share all of your relevant links in the show notes below this video so everybody
Thank
can
you.
get to you and subscribe and all the fun stuff. Um, Again, sir, thank you so much for being here. It was a serious thrill for me after all the years of watching you deliver wonderful, wonderful content. So thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome, and thank you for taking the time. And I'm excited to get to know your little niche on the running YouTube landscape. So I'm excited to get to know your runners and all the people that watch your channel as well. So I can't wait to connect that way.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much and have a great night.
Thank you.